We're in for some music today. It's going to be good. But before that happens, I need to tell you that I won't be monitoring the chat today because there's nothing there, but also because I just don't have my phone to hand, and having it on another part of my screen is a faff that I am not willing to try. So we're gonna just go chatless today. Trust me, I haven't been committing murders, and this is live. What song are we going to listen to then today, eh? I thought it was that. And it is, yeah, okay. I still need to think of something to go in that bit. Haven't got anything just yet. So, enjoy 21,000 like songs. It's pretty stupid. What are we going to listen to, eh? I wonder.
In the night I hear him.
Wow. Oh, are we? Oh, I was not expecting to be called out like this. No, I think because of again heightened fury around Kanye West, I'm just not gonna bother. We're gonna spin on. Oh, a much more interesting option. Yeah, Kadhja Bonet, or this is a perfect time to look it up. How do we pronounce Kadhja? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Okay, looks like NPR's got something. Pronounced Kadhja. Okay, fine. Oh, thank you very much. Alright, I can monitor the chat, I suppose. Okay, here we go. Right, yeah, it's Kadhja. I haven't come across Bonet, but I'm going to assume it's Bonet. Because it's not Bonnet, is it? Surely not Bonnet. Okay. Alright, here we go then. So yeah, this is Childqueen from 2018. It is an interesting album. It has very retro feel. And quite a good artwork, doesn't it? I like that. Great, alright, let's give it a go. Okay, big timp roll. Probably not a timp roll really, probably a floor tom roll. But yeah, it comes from nowhere and you hear the bass get in before you actually hear any definition from the tom, which is really cool. Let's hear it again. And then yeah, in with a very squelchy E minor. And what has come in straight there? We've got a crash on the beginning. Some harmony vocals and a wow from some maybe fuzzed up guitar.
Oh, every morning brings a chance to renew.
Yeah, I know there's another bit after that. Something like that, isn't it?
To renew.
Yeah. So we've got 3-part harmony in vocals, and that's all that's really here. They're moving in perfect sync, and it starts off and we're in let's say E minor. It's not clear yet because we've got that note, that note, that note, that note, and that note, and that note, but we haven't had whatever this sixth note is. Well, we find that out here. We've got a major sixth note. Okay, so it's looking like Dorian. But then we get a minor sixth note, and more than that, we get a minor. What's that? Minor second. Okay. There. So Dorian note there. Oh, generally minor, but we've got that Dorian, and then flat second and flat sixth. So it's changing to a kind of Phrygian feel. Those lower chords, or at least it's not said that it's not. Actually, it is said that it's not Phrygian because there we've got the major two. So we've got a figure here which goes with always with E as our kind of pivot point, but it's pivoting from a Dorian kind of feel to a Phrygian feel, and then to, well, I guess just a minor feel. Actually, yeah, because we've got that note, that's a flat sixth still. So yeah, we're looking at Aeolian note there. So we've got three different modes operating at different times in the first phrase of this piece of music. And it gives it this really, not transient, but sort of, like, I want to say ephemeral. It's sort of like this very weak connection. Doesn't have a weak sound at all, but it has this flowing. Transmutation that is going on. We're really rushing through different tributaries in different directions and coming up with different sounds, all based in the same sound. Something like that.
Every morning brings a chance to renew, chance to renew.
It's actually more than three-part harmony, kind of. We've got some upper harmonies too. I think it's like that. So it's really this whole chord. But it's always in the same order. All of those notes in the same order, and they're just moving. Or they're all moving in the same way all the way through, up at the same time, down at the same time. So it's got this locked in, almost robotic feel, but the voice is so soft and breathy. There's definitely no robot to that. So it comes across as this kind of angelic choir, in perfect harmony with each other.
Every morning brings a chance to renew, chance to renew.
And then we've got this bass guitar, which is not so locked in. It's still moving at more or less the same pace and giving us what we might expect. Well, not necessarily the right notes that we would expect. Right key, we're centered around still E, but it's in swing time is the main thing. So these ones, I've played it so many times now, da 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 da, are very very straight quavers. Da 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 da. But then we've got in the bass. It's doing something slightly more complicated than that, but it's got that triplety rhythm, that swung rhythm, which is at odds with the quavers. The quavers are straight, and the swung rhythm is not. By definition, they are at odds. So we've got these two different rhythmic feels going on. So it feels, quite confusing, quite chaotic. Yeah, some kind of guitar with a flange on it. No. You know what? I had a flange pedal ages ago that sounded like a phase pedal, and so now I always think it's flange when it's phase. I think it's phase. Going wow 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 wow. Just on some EE thing, and we've got a little bit of cymbal noise in the background too, but otherwise we're really locked into these two main parts: the harmony vocals and the bass.
Everybody brings a chance to renew.
And actually now the drums have a little more presence to them. We haven't just got the cymbals, in fact the hi-hat being the main one, but we've got some very very soft snare with brushes, and I'm certain about that this time.
Chance to renew. Amateur Pacifique et le moyen de plus d'être qu'avec le modèle qui vous
Similar kind of phrase, same amount of length, so which is, well, 2 bars of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, if that's our speed, which it kind of feels like it is, or 4 bars if we're double that speed, and then it's we still got the locked in harmony moving together, but it's just not moving in quite the same fashion. Let's hear it one more time.
les moyens de plus amateur Pacifique et les moyens de plus d'être qu'avec le modèle qui vous
So now the most audible one is this high one, which is doubled down the octave. And then occasionally we are still getting that Phrygian harmony in there.
les moyens de plus d'être.
There, so that. Yeah, so we get that D minor chord for that moment. But yeah, the chord sequence overall, because we haven't got the extent that we had in the previous one of different notes, the chord and harmony structure is softer and less all over the place. Feels like a more straightforward minor until we get that flat 2 there, and then a lot of this C major 7 is made as well.
Qu'avec le modèle qui vous amateur Pacifique et les moyens de plus d'être qu'avec le modèle qui vous
Yeah, so it's the middle voice that's doing something like that. So going between that F and the F sharp, depending on if we're in the sort of 3rd bar of 4 or the first part of the 2nd bar of 2, if you like. That's where our sort of Phrygian harmony is happening each time. Very, very laid back, isn't it? There's a propulsive security to the rhythm. It's still plodding, but it's not rushing at all. Nothing is going faster than it needs to. There's nothing faster than that quaver slash semi-quaver rhythm. Not true. Some of the drums are faster. Da, 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 da. So we're getting a little bit of extra, slightly militaristic drum in there. Which I guess is appropriate for a procession. Okay, and here the harmonies have got a little bit wilder. Got a few extra added notes to these chords. Let's hear it again. Yeah, it's that basically. That first one is just an E minor, which is just fine. And then this is sort of like a D with no third. Maybe it has a third. No thirds, definitely. Yeah, pretty sure we've got that still in there, that E. It is there. And the top line is moving up to that E on this next chord. Isn't it lovely the way these fade in? This feels to me like a genuine crescendo rather than an post hoc fade by the mixer. It feels like they're singing quiet. And they're fading in like that. That was not a great one, that last one, but that's the idea. You sing soft, you get louder and slightly thicker in vocal tone as well, and it really leads to this building of sound, and then it just dissipates as well. So it's really playing with dynamic. Yeah, the bass and maybe the kick drum as well. There's a lot actually on the beat. Yeah, pushing us forwards. Okay, we've changed now into a different key center. Looks like B flat maybe. Let's see. And that ending there, basically ending with a big D7 chord. So you would expect that maybe to go to G, but to go back to E minor would make a lot of sense. But instead, we step it up to E flat. Yeah, it's a more complicated chord, but I'm not going to stop and explain or try and understand every single addition to each of these chords. This is jazzy stuff. Anyway, yeah, we're at E flat all of a sudden. We've got a flute melody that's suddenly come in, as well as an extremely wobbly, maybe guitar, maybe vocal in the right can. So. Okay, so we had a lot of E flat and C minor, and then we went up to that F. We had a diminished seventh chord on the F sharp, leading us to G minor, and then we had that again. That's some Beatles-esque harmony. Michelle. Okay, back to the same E flat. The drums here really aren't laying down any strong, beat. I mean, there is a beat, but they're more concerned with textural things. Really, that seems to be how it is. There's lots of shimmery sounds from the snare drum, and just occasional other things as well. Kick drum coming through from time to time feels like a jazz use of a kit rather than any kind of pop use. Okay, and we've ended there on a D7 again, so we could lead back to our original section. Let's see if we do that. Okay, well, we again outfoxed ourselves with a unison, well, an octaves figure from the bass, the guitar, and the flute. Mm-hmm. Let's hear that again, just. Yeah. And that's an interesting one. We wouldn't have expected that at all. I have mixed feelings about some unison lines, because when you have quite a thick texture with a lot of different things going on, suddenly focusing it on one line is a really big change. And if that one line itself is relatively underwhelming, what have you done? You've really just unsettled everything for the sake of one particular line. Jacob Collier does it a lot, I think. I really think it doesn't work when he does that. And well, the one that I'm okay with it in is Dancing with the Moonlit Night by Genesis, where towards the end it suddenly has this and there's slightly more complicated harmony there, so it's not just one unison line. And as well as that, there's drums doing their own thing, not accompanying that in any close Mickey Mousing kind of way. So I'm okay with it in some contexts, generally not. And I mean, I can't deny Sir Duke either is another example of that. Well, hey, why not? Let's just have a look at each of those before we come back to Procession. So. So is that all that I want?
On earth together,
don't know where it comes.
it's you
Because I don't listen to this very often.
God
I can't
has
find it.
made
That's
us
a shame.
fall in love.
So obviously very, very thick textures here. Lots of things going on.
Of you and God.
Okay, maybe it's here.
At least in my life I found someone.
Yeah, so for moments there's two lines. There's the main vocal, and then there's just that more low line as well. It's not the exact one I'm looking for, but it's good enough, and I'm happy to move on. The point there is that you get this big chord that suddenly diminishes to just one line, and while it's texturally interesting in a certain kind of way, it's diminishing the grandeur that we've built up in those big chords. I think that's something he plays with a bit too fast and loose. What else have we got? Dancing with the Moonlit Night is a wonderful piece of
Can you
music.
tell me what?
Yeah, so okay. so it goes to one low guitar line, which is strong just by virtue of it being the low riff. That kind of thing is obviously nothing to be upset about. Riffs are very exciting, and they can be.
Dancing out with the moonlit night. Nights of the green fields down and shout.
New texture, really driving, but then so what's going on here is really we've got harmony parts doing the same line. What do we? So that's going on in one, and then we've got this kind of thing. So like parallel thirds going all over the place with a complex line. So it almost feels like one particular line carrying on, but also we've got the drums from the previous section. It's I think the only continuation between those two sections. Yeah, so it's slightly different and feels texturally in a totally different place. But because we've got that continuation and we've got not just one line, it works very well. Now, Sir Duke is a different matter altogether. I mean, we sort of straight from the off say unison lines is actually what we're going to do here. And we've got the drums, again, doing their own rhythm and not accompanying in any straightforward doing the same kind of rhythm fashion. And then when we get that later on, we might as well find it from the lyrics. It's just like the beginning, but it's a different rhythm. And it's also an octave. It's also very elegiac, like that's a big section of elegiac. I always use elegiac because it was written on the back of a book when I was a kid. But what I really mean is like big, elongated, I guess. And yeah, it's so much of that unison line, and the octaves are actually shifting from time to time. They're not always the same instrument playing in the same octave. They switch it up a little bit. So it has this organic feeling to it. It's longer, so it grows in that respect too. So I'm not convinced this one lives up to those absolutely fabulous, worthwhile old songs, but it's pretty good so far in other Yeah, the what do you call it? Flute melody there is too high for me to play, but it's really emphasising the triplety nature of the rhythm that has been somewhat hidden in the previous sections. But okay, so we're feeling much more like a compound rhythm, a triplet rhythm, rather than the straight rhythm we had dominating in the other sections. And then the straight rhythm comes back in, doesn't it? So that sort of feels like a weird ending. Da 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 da, and then we're back in with the E minor. It's an interesting transition. I don't think it's fully successful, but it's definitely interesting.
Oh, every morning brings a chance to renew, chance to renew. Oh, every morning brings a chance to renew, chance to renew.
Second section happening very much like it happened before. Maybe a little guitar. little bit of high percussion, like a glockenspiel going ting 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 up at the top.
Pacifique et le moyen de plus d'être qu'avec le mode
At least I think that's what it is. It's got a real wobble to it, like the either guitar or keys in the other. We were coming down here. The texture's slightly thinning out. And then this chord. So we might not have the third in actually. Those ones, and then bom, bom, bom. Farty bass. It's wah. It's a wah effect on the bass, isn't it? Yeah, so I don't think there is a third in there, but there is that top E as well. So that's what that chord just held with each of the vocals are just fading away. So some interesting textural things here. We're in a very unusual space, sort of reminiscent of psychedelia, I guess, in the 60s and 70s. Yeah, very hypnotic kind of thing. Unusual rhythms being put together, as in standard rhythms, but they're being unusually put together. Yeah, influence it, militaristic drums, but also jazzy drums. Yeah, wah on the bass, which is fun, but yeah, quite an unusual sound. You do get it, but it's unusual. And yeah, very wibbly wobbly instruments all over the texture. Yeah, a really interesting start to an album. Okay. So this is going down a scale, starting on a note, coming down a fifth basically, then going up a fourth. Doesn't quite feel like that's it. Yeah, it is almost. But then it just goes up. Yeah, so the last one doesn't go up a fourth, it goes up a second. No. And then it ends, yeah, on G there. We started on A flat and we end on G. So it has a kind of flat 6 to 5 feel, and then we're going somewhere, we're on the dominant. Maybe to C minor, let's see. And yeah, there's a bit of a tremolo there, going up to the semitone higher, the A flat. And it's on strings, of course. We've got, yeah, very reverb heavy strings, cellos presumably, and violins, but maybe also some violas in there. And yeah, we didn't go to C minor, we went to F minor. Wow, on the drums we're getting a kick on the first beat and a snare on the second beat, and then we're leaving it for about 6 beats, I think. Not quite. We don't leave it for that much, but we do leave the rest of that bar empty. The drums very minimal, just 2 instruments in the drums, and this thick string harmony here, making up, so we have the F minor to begin with, then we go to a kind of A minor, but these are not just straightforward 3-note chords. We've got definitely big extensions to each of these. I think even for that A minor we've got the 11th there. It's hard to do chords like that on the guitar, but it sounds amazing in all these strings. like the previous track, we are playing with mode here. Now we haven't got a melody really so far, but F minor and A minor don't ever coexist in a key. They are a tertiary shift. What notes do they have in common? I even hear you cry. Well, C is really the one. The F in the F minor goes down to E. The C stays the same, and that's the pivot. The A flat goes down up to G or up to an A, and if you think about E flat here, that's going up to an E. So we've got these two going in like that, got this one splitting like that, and the C stays the same. Yeah, really lovely semitonal shifts from 3 different notes in each of those chords. If we add in the 9th, well, that can stay the same between each chord, so we don't need to worry too much about that. The 9th in this chord, though, in the A chord, shifts up to the C in the F minor chord. Lovely. Wow, I didn't manage to process what was going on there. We got a fun rhythm from the vocals. Da 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 ba da ba da da da. Very upbeat kind of sound. Very on the beat for those first 4. And also sort of twice the speed of what we've been feeling so far. Ba da da, like a double time feel all of a sudden. Chord wise, no idea what's going on, but again we've got harmony vocals straight from the beginning. So it feels like that's what's going on. We've got that. Well, there's some people just on that. So this doesn't feel like it's meant to be any solid chord. It feels like there's 2 different things. A constantly moving bass fitting over what is less moving but still has its own move, the melody. 2 different lines that have an almost classical contrapuntal nature to them. They're only not classical in that they don't seem to relate at all. They're in the same key, I guess, but they're simple enough that they might not even be in the same key. Yeah, and the harmonies, we've definitely got a 5th in there. Yeah. No. And we've got the octave as well. Can't hear the 3rd at the moment. We'll hear it. Oh, I just changed the... Okay, is that back to normal? Maybe. And then, yeah, now we fit onto a chord. It's a F sharp minor 9 chord with the 9 way in the melody, so there's no denying it. Lovely. We've still got the thick strings here, but they're much less focused on than the vocals and the bass. Going from the 9th up to the 11th and back down again. Lovely. Not resolving. It keeps that. To be honest, it's a soft non-resolution. It's not too upsetting to keep that note on by itself, especially with the 7th there. Holding it almost feels like that E major chord. so I don't mind that too much at all. It doesn't feel painful, but it's got this kind of mystery to it, this languishing in romance feel to it. And interesting that it's gone from around here something like that to going to here. There's notes in common. That's there in both. Like you could argue this is just a F sharp minor Gregorian kind of feel. So maybe we're just in E major. Who knows? Doesn't really feel like that though, does it? It feels like two sound worlds that are quite different. We do have the E there. So yeah, so that is kind of a C sharp minor chord, but we get so much D sharp on it. Not complaining. Yeah, again, so we've got that, and the harmony vocals were clearer there. Doing that, yeah, yeah, it's nice, it's nice. An extra line there. What have I heard that in? Something actually quite similar to this. It's really old-fashioned. This could have been from a James Bond film, really, couldn't it? So it's got that soft. It's not quite the same, but it does have a feel of What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. That's not where I've got the melody from, but that. Yeah. It's a nice bit of melody. Eton Rifles! Eton Rifles! Okay, there we go. That's definitely also not the one I was thinking of, but it does have the same one. So, there we go. It's Eton Rifles. Okay, wow. We're really going, all over the place. Now, before we had that F minor to A minor. Here we've got a similar kind of thing. The F sharp minor to this A sharp minor, or G flat minor to B flat minor. Same movement, it's just upper semitone from what We're really preserving texture in this quite strongly. The instruments that are in stay in, and we don't get any things that occur just for a moment. The previous track was the same. The textural elements are relatively minimal, and they make their presence known and they stay there. Apart from what sounds like bird effects that have just started, which we haven't heard. I love that tremolo string sound. So this feels the same, but we're in a different key center. Yeah, so we've still got the same two elements. Whatever it is, one of those. Still got those things going on, but now we are in kind of E minor to A minor, which we've approached unexpectedly from our B flat minor. It's a very, very unusual change. And in fact, was that the same from, no, the previous one, we had a slightly different change. Yeah. So there's no similarity, well, there's not a similarity between those two changes, but the sections are the same, they're just in different keys. The F minor kind of feel. A minor, so it's like what we had most of the beginning. Same thing. And now we're back at C sharp minor kind of feel. F sharp. Okay. We did something different there that I wasn't paying attention to because I was thinking about tremolo strings. But yeah, that kind of thing on the violins there. They start quiet and they tremolo back and forth on the string and they get louder, and again it's playing with dynamics like we had on the previous one, with the voices slowly getting louder and getting quieter too. Same kind of feel. Well, that's bold, especially when they go there. So we've got a B flat in the bass or an A sharp in the bass, while these are doing some parallel fourths. Yeah, and they both hit that B semitone clash with the bass. Yeah, quite a different feel on that chord. It's not one of these lush minor 9 chords. We've got a flat 9 in there and a flat 13 as well. So it feels like a more dark space. And we had that nice violin line there. Go down like that, bringing us back to the F sharp minor. So it was just one chord there, and then passed back to. So imagine we'll go to B flat. Yeah. Okay. So we have had this section before going between the F sharp and the A sharp, but we hadn't got that over the top now, and we've had it both times now. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like if it was one lower, it would sound a lot more consonant. Still quite suspicious, or not suspicious, mysterious. But with that one, yeah, it really adds a little bit of a bite, but on a really subtle level. Like I'd maybe feel a weak queasiness. And yeah, really nice violin line there. Doing something similar but with a little more ad-lib to it. A little more ostentatiousness. Yeah, and that E to F sharp and then down to F when we get to the B flat minor 7, or E sharp if you like, on the A sharp minor 7. So we have this kind of sudden switch around of semitones, and it's fun and very, very clear, big change. Okay, a little bit more of a beat now from the drums. Hi-hat on every beat. Snare on most of the third beats of the bar. And we've settled into a pattern. We've still got that in there, but it's fading away, and the strings, the tremolo strings, are fading in louder. Okay, now we've just dropped just strings, tremoloing away. Maybe there's a little bit of synth in there as well. Yeah, a little bit of an unclean ending, but what can you do? They're really playing for their life. So far we've had two songs that have had repetitious sections, but I wouldn't say that either of them had a clear chorus, and they've also not repeated in a standard way that you would expect a song to do so. They also feel much more mood focused than lyric focused, much more mood focused than melody focused. Yeah, it's all about the texture, which is a refreshing change.
Another time, another place.
Let's hear it again.
Another time, another place. Another life, another space.
Harmony's that then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 11. An 11 beat repetition. Lovely. And then over the top, the other line. No, it's not quite that, is it?
Another time, another place.
Which feels almost more like a melody than we've had before. Okay, so what chords did we get there? I guess kind of a B minor. A, D, A, G. I don't know. The main ones are that B minor at the beginning, and that G that we end there. B minor, G. So we're looking at, we're in B minor, we've got all the notes of B minor, maybe missing a few.
Life, another space.
So the drums are locked in with the guitar and the bass, who are doing that lower melody, and then we've got harmony vocals over the top as well.
Another time, another place.
Okay, and we've got a slightly different one there. Oh, we've moved up. The melody is still in the same place, but the other one, like lower counterpoint has moved up to an E. It was starting on B, now it's starting on E.
Another place, another life, another space.
Now that is a semitone shift. I still haven't come up with a good word for it. I mean, it's an enharmonic equivalency, is what it is. Where we go from this G major chord with the B there to an A flat chord. You could argue it goes to a G that just for need of the phrase enharmonic equivalency. And we'll take this B and change it to a C flat. Lovely. Okay, this has more of a in your face, let's say funky feel than the previous two, which have been more atmospheric. This one has less of that. It has more drum. It has just more groove altogether. It's a bit of a like I don't want to say clumsy, but like quite a bop, 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 like straight groove. There's no theatrics to it so far. Chord sequence. One really. G sharp minor, or A flat minor. E major. So that's a straightforward change. We've heard that many times. The A major is unexpected because we thought G sharp minor was our sort of nice comfort space. The A would then put us in a Phrygian mode, and we get A sharp half diminished, which puts us somewhere else again. So and yet again, playing with modes, playing with more jazzy harmony. It's not world-breaking jazzy harmony, but it is nicely jazzy, nicely switching modes.
Without a tree or shrub to
the vocals are in octaves here. They're not in more complicated harmony than that, but they are in octaves still.
see, just you and me, and all the bricks and mortar between. Each time we
I think we had yeah, so oh, and we're in a more straightforward time signature here, aren't we? We're in 4. So we had that A sharp half diminished, which led us to this D sharp 7, back to G sharp minor.
share our eyes, we'll smile and crumble inside.
So we've got yeah, much more of a melody than the other ones. Something like that. But that is common to all the threads of the melody.
Every day
Do
seems
something different at the end,
to be
which is an interesting
a
thing.
little shorter.
And that comes just before the change of chord. So it's sort of it sort of clashes with this one, but then it immediately resolves, and they don't even stay around for the chord change, but it sort of heralds that chord change. It leads us to it.
You always be another time lover. Always wonder when's that time.
I'm gonna have to stop looking at all these chords, but that was really nice. I really like the change between
And crumble inside. Every day seems
when
to be a little shorter. You
we get back to our G sharp minor. That's just fine when we've got that B at the top.
always be.
And then it changes it to a G sharp major with a B in the bass. Yeah. The melody takes that into account, so we go from having that B at the top to having the B sharp underneath. Or we go from having that C at the top, which is an A flat minor, to having a C at the bottom. Either way, it sounds silly and is poor written on paper.
Another time learned. I always wanted when.
Actually, it doesn't go to the B, does it? It goes further.
Always be.
Yeah. So the vocal melody spells out a different chord. It would be really straightforward for it to do, but it doesn't. It goes. So we hit a common note there, but yeah, it's as if this G minor, G sharp minor to G sharp major is actually to like a G sharp major 9 chord, because we've got that nice D sharp major chord spelled out on the top there. Yeah, lovely harmony anyway.
Another
And we're
time
just cutting to different notes straight away after it.
when's that time? We're on the
Now
floor
we're back into our verse section.
of the.
This time we have built this like a more straightforward song. So we've got a verse and a chorus, which is lovely, and then we've got this arpeggiated synth line that's come in to thicken the texture on the second verse. This is all conventional stuff.
Atlantic Ocean.
Oh,
We've
and
been
some
here
extra
before.
video game noises.
Nowhere. Just stagnant.
Now, that synth line is conventional in that it's thickening the texture, but it's basically just doing 2 notes up and down an octave, I think. Let's have another listen.
Nowhere. Just stagnant.
Yeah. So it's 3 notes. And it's just doing that. But obviously the chord is changing underneath, so when we've got that, that works totally fine. A little bit odder, but it's still fine. Very weird. Yeah, and then it resolves itself. But really over that A chord we've got some super odd harmony where we've got A sharp, should you like, and G sharp at the same time. Three notes right next to each other in the series of 12 notes that we use in this Western system.
No shine like me. No one can see my years.
It's also not quite on the beat. How is it?
A fantasy life.
That was fun, wasn't it? We've got pops, vocal sounds going in between the ears, and then we had that sudden on the D sharp sound, crescendoing in again. So it's a theme through the album so far. These crescendo sounds.
That we have built in
Funky
heavy
bass.
stare. That some girl you.
Nice. Yeah. Just straightforward chords there. G sharp minor, F sharp major, back to G sharp minor in a different voicing. Sounds so good. Sounds so good. Just 3 voices. Maybe there's some more, but yeah, that full chord in such breathy, high falsetto singing is really lovely.
Always be another time, never.
This feels like our section before. The harmony does feel a little bit confused in the point where I gave it up. That might just be my own lack of understanding of it, but it's certainly complicated, to say the least.
Always wonder where's that time.
Yeah, the drums really are keeping out of the way of everything here. Drums are often a dominant thing because they keep everything going, and they have the fundamentally loudest things. They have to crack straight through everything else. But the drums here are really, even when they're playing their groove, they're keeping in their lane, and it's very soft, and it adds, I think, a real calm to the procedure here. The proceedings, probably, rather than procedure. Yeah, so we added extra harmony vocals to that chorus, and that's why it sounded different, but it didn't have too much else going on. We removed some of the craziness from the verse before. We've got our synths back, but then now sounding more crazy. So this is a classic second chorus, post second chorus kind of thing, which is that we've got the verse section back, but it's an instrumental, and we've got it with some really crazy sounding synths with huge reverbs. And it sounds like the synth is extremely loud, kind of square wave kind of sound, but that it's back in the reverb somewhere, so it doesn't quite have the presence and attack that it would do if it were reverbless. Now we've kind of got 2 voices going on here at the same degree of front. One of them is that synth sound, which is a guitar. Really nice. That guitar ended on wow, yeah, an A sharp. So sort of fits with both of those. Then we get the A chord and it just lingers on. Finally, when we get to the A sharp chord, it fits. Yeah, again, I mean that's pretty straightforward harmony wise. We're up pretty high, going up to a B flat or an A sharp at the top there. Just keeping in straight triads, and keeping as much as they can to the main 2 chords, in fact, which are G sharp minor and F sharp. So that's an F sharp, that's a G sharp, that's an F sharp, and then that's a G sharp. I think they changed just on the last one to something else. Yeah, so it does lead to a weird thing there with the A in the bass, but it's not as weird as having that A sharp just lingering on. Yeah. Yeah, so that last one, in fact that is just an F sharp again. So they're just going between 2 different chords, but in different inversions, which is really simple and easy to do. You just multi-track some vocals, just doing the notes of the scale. And it's interesting, isn't it, when you have a melody which uses a very simple scale, and then there's harmony around it which uses notes all together more complexly. but because we have that simple melody, it sort of unifies everything together, and makes a strong section out of very disparate elements in another field. The synths go crazy still. The synths are kind of doing the same thing, just mainly keeping to G sharp and F sharp. It sort of makes that special A a little less special and a little more sort of like the black sheep of the family. But never mind, I like it. A little too much crazy harmony for me in that section with the extra voices, and not quite mixed well enough for me to enjoy or clearly see what's going on.
Another time, another place.
Wow.
Another
Had you forgotten about this?
another space.
Me too. But we're back where we were at the beginning.
Another place, another life, another space.
But for some reason this time we haven't got the guitar. Bow. We've just got the bass, some very tinkly high thing, and the drums. We haven't got the guitar doing the middle octave, which is strange. And then that end one, space, we go straight to the G sharp instead of going to the G first. And we end with some funky noise and lots of drums doing a crescendo up, and a little bit of the studio sound as well. Okay. Alright, shall we do one more? This one's a long one, but it's also one of the most listened to tracks. Okay. Lots of noise. Pitched, but not necessarily in key with anything. Yeah, some floaty synths, some more percussive sounds.
What's it mean?
F sharp from the low bass, and then the vocals. There's a little bit of other ambient noise going on as well.
What's it mean, Delphine? Delphine, Delphine.
Okay, kind of a similar groove. Not exactly the same, but again we've got just straight from that, which doesn't leave us with a huge amount of information about the key, but we kind of go, well, if F sharp minor is where we're going to assume that the E goes with that, C sharp and D go with that, but then we've got a D sharp, so are we again dealing with a modal transposition, modal interchange here? The D and the D sharp sort of say that it's switching between them.
This letter you wrote to me.
Nice. Yeah. Nice bit of melody. So two different phrases, don't have much in common apart from that they use two of the same notes. The shape of the melody is quite different, but yeah, both strong by themselves. Go together.
Does it mean goodbye?
Okay, So the harmonies here are not the straight ones that we have come to expect. They're not just going up and down as we would expect together. They're coming close to each other like that, and occasionally then moving together. More complicated general arrangement of them, and that leads to this having a more delicate feeling than the ones which we've heard on the previous songs. And also very softly sung. There's no drums to speak of. Really only got those two main textural things, the vocals and the bass. And there we've got and we've got so this is really saying it's a whole big sharp 11 D chord. It maybe doesn't have all of those, but we do have these two locked together. Which is a lovely dissonance. Dissonance doesn't always sound bad. When we're soft and in a comfortable texture, we have a dissonance like that. It's very, very stimulating.
You know I've always
Some kind of thing up there, like maybe it's a guitar, just doing some stuff. Hello. Sorry, just some baby trouble. Let's get back to it. Where were we?
You know I've always been the first to try something new for you and me.
There's not a lot of repetition in the melody here. Something like that. That I guess for you and me is a bit of a sequence, but this is just a melody going in a direction and doing a thing. It sounds cool, and I think it's an interesting selection of notes, and it emphasises the best words as well, I think. But yeah, it is somewhat going off on its own thing, and at the same time, it also feels very specifically composed, because everything's on the beat, you know.
And me, I know the distance can confuse your mind. Give it time.
extra the second time, which is nice. Also, the bass is not doing so much of the D sharp here. It's doing more of just a B, so it's kind of saying a B major chord there. So that's kind of our new sequence, which is similar. That said, because the D sharp isn't in there, it's sort of silly to assume it, except that it has happened previously in the song, so maybe the echo of it is still there, even though the D comes just before it.
What's it mean, Delphine?
Synthesizer, very, very low.
Delphine,
Like Plantasia by Mort Garson kind of sounds.
oh, this bit about growing pains.
Okay, the vocal harmonies are more locked in now. And there. Are they? Something like that.
Bit about growing pains.
Yeah. They're not quite what we would expect from the key. That's sort of saying it's an A minor chord there with that G. So again, yeah, playing with semitone, unexpected semitone differences between sections here, and the same kind of modal interchange stuff, but it seems to be happening on more an ad hoc basis in this one.
And
The drums are in. Soft but clear groove. Wah on the bass again as well. Alternating, maybe it's going up to there one time and down to there another time, but broadly works out to the same harmony anyway. And yeah, we just have little bits of synthesizer just whirring around in the stereo field, in the higher areas normally, just adding a little bit of extra colour and a little, quite an unexpected texture really. It feels like there's an odd amount of the mid-range missing, like just this empty thing. We've got some deep stuff and we've got some high stuff, but we don't have too much of like the low mids.
I know exactly where you are, Delphine. You're right here with me, where you belong.
Delphine,
I know the distance can confuse your mind. Give it time, Delphine. Give it time.
yeah. So throughout, we've kept this sequence going. It's been the same throughout, with just a little bit of variation in which chord is major, which chord is minor, occasionally what the bass note is. But it's been going constantly throughout, and so making decisions about sections comes down not to that or any other textural things, but really about what the melody is doing. And sometimes the melody is doing a similar thing to what it's done before, like here. I would therefore call this the chorus section. It's also got Delphine said more often in this section, so that makes sense. Not that it matters. It's just easier to understand structure when you can put some things across. I'm not sure we've had that before though. Let's check. Yeah, I think that might have been new.
Oscars
Maybe.
think again.
excellent piece of melody. Wah, 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 wah. Something like that. Just filling in the extra time. It's nice. It keeps everything ticking over without it just disappearing into the mood. And the mood is good, and I'm sure that people who would like to get high would really enjoy just sitting and imbibing this mood, and they wouldn't necessarily need all those textural things to keep it exciting and enjoyable. But they're in here, and they add that extra frisson for the more conscious listener, I guess.
I said tea with Liz. She comes at 5.
It's really nice how the harmony vocals come in for specific bits as well.
I have found your favorite green behind the bed.
The bass and the kick drum again are together on that bum, bum, which comes at the beginning of the bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, bum, bum. The kick drum hits on both of those, emphasising in a pretty subtle manner one particular small rhythmic feature that is a constant here. It's very stylish and classy. Unlike the endless wah sounds, which are a bit less
Sweet, sweet Delphine. I know exactly who you are, Delphine. You're the one for me, Delphine.
What's that over there? Got a bit
I
more
know
chord
the
flow,
distance can confuse your mind. Give it time, Delphine. Give it time. Time.
We've got time
A
again.
little bit of
Two synthesizer things. Just ad-libbing in the background. Lovely, lovely ad-lib. Complicated, but
I
not
know
overly showy.
exactly who you are, Delphine.
So the drums have dropped out here, and we've got just the vocal again with the bass. That's really all that's going on here, and it's the chorus, so that's a nice way to potentially end the song, isn't it?
You're the one for me, Delphine.
Ooh, and the bass shows itself at the last moment to be, maybe it's showed this before, but it's such a clean slide up there, it must be a fretless bass. Lovely.
Know the
Drums have come back in
distance
again.
can
So it was just for that moment where we lost the groove.
give it
It was
time,
kind of unexpected.
Delphine. Give it
Ooh, a
time.
more electronic kind of clicky sounding synth there. And now we're just overwhelmed with synths. Keeping on that B though, keeping on the B sort of B major tonality that last chord has all the way through to the end of the song, not falling back to the F sharp, and also not just driving away into the ether in a flash of light. It's doing something unexpected. There's a lot of unexpected things going on here, even for the idiom that it tries to sit in, which is this kind of 70s early electronic and psychedelic soul kind of feel. There's so many unusual things. Another Time Lover, why does it start with a section that it also ends with but that has no connection to the rest of the song? That's a really strange thing to do. This one just has the same repetitive pattern all the way through, but it also has ad-libbed interjections from several different synthesizers, maybe some other instruments too, just peppering the silence, peppering the sort of empty night with flashes of light and activity, but never taking up much space really. Always, always very stately. And yeah, so strange that this song had, just before the ending, we lost the drums, and then we brought them back again for about 10 seconds, only just to lose them again. It's an interesting, that brings attention to the section before, and I guess I would need a few more listens to really get under the skin of what that means there. But it's quite effective anyway, in at least keeping your attention held. Okay, I think we can do Thoughts Around Tea. Let's do Thoughts Around Tea. It's only short. Nice. Just a load of major 7 chords. E flat, D flat, C flat. Okay, we should have started with D sharp, C sharp, B, F sharp, G sharp, B again, back to D sharp. So each of these can't exist in a key with the next one. So it doesn't really matter what the change is, we're getting a big switch of harmony on every single one. I love playing with major 7 chords because they are so relaxed, aren't they? They're so sultry sounding. It's just like basking in some hot but not too hot heat. There's a nice chorus. Same chords with a funky, kind of metallic sound, nonetheless pitched in the right ear. Doing those notes just in a really strange way. The drums are in, very minimal as usual. We've got the kick drum on the first beat, and the chords are coming just after it, so it's, just before it, so jam, 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 until the last one. That one comes on the beat. What else is there? There's something else. There's a melody. Yeah, doing. It sort of leaves space for the chord. So the chord goes down. We get the bass, and then so they're sort of leaving each other's space. We've also got the snare drum on the offbeats, I think, here. Also, the drums here sound quite electronic. I think they've just been gated really heavily and maybe bit crushed or something like that. Let's take a step back. More energetic drum beat than we've had in most of these songs. The melody is again in parallel motion with just fifths and octaves. Something like that. Da 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 da. Both of those parts just moving in perfect simultaneous motion. Similar motion, I guess. Yeah, and at the same time as those second beat snare hits, that's when the odd noise. It's probably a guitar gone through some weird noises. In the right ear goes. So we've got this left chord, and that is really alternating on the sides of the headphones, the stereo field. Very disorienting, yeah, classic kind of psychedelic thing. Yeah, Tame Impala would probably be very happy to do a similar kind of thing. Maybe even have. Okay. It's a 451. We haven't had one of these before on this album, but there's some straightforward harmonies for you. Let's call that A flat minor, B flat minor, E flat minor. Nice. And the melody, I think, now has more of a full chord backing, so the harmony is thicker because we've got all three of those notes rather than just one. Rather than just two. So we've got an E flat major chord there, but with a B flat in the bass. Unexpected. Feels strong though. Feels very shiny. Backwards well. First section maybe. Let's call this up. More catchy than the other section. It's interesting how it has that. When we get back to the E flat chord, we have 2 bars on that. Before we then play the same chord again. But in those 2 bars, we've got a bit of space. The melody stops, so we get a fill and we get a little bit of a bass lick as well, something like that, just to fill the space, because nothing else is doing it. Everything else has sort of given up at the end of the 7th bar. Tinkly glockenspiel again as well. Okay. Second section. Let's call it our so our main chord there is a major chord anyway, the E flat major, and it's only for that first section, let's say, that we go to a minor chord, but it feels very naturally that, because we've got such a feeble hold on major and minor, because we've just been using all these major chords all over. Maybe one of those, maybe that G sharp is a G sharp minor. But yeah, we've been using such disconnected harmonies that the one thing we hold on to is the E flat, and we're happy whether it's E flat minor or E flat major. It doesn't really matter to us. Let's hear that one more time. They're all major 7 chords. And of course, also, maybe this has been the case for all of them, in fact I think it probably has, the bass is actually just holding down the E the whole time. It's not constantly playing, but when it is playing, it's doing E flat, as I said. E flat, not E. So all these chords, even though they're crazily different in different places, they're held just a different bass notes. He was playing some chords there. Yeah, it's doing that on this chord, and then something like that on the B flat minor chord. Yeah, some really unusual bass sound there because we've got those dyads. We've got two different notes at the same time, so it's not giving us a standard bass kind of sound at all. And this section, it has moved up in pitch as well, so we've lost most of that lower layer. I think the kick drum's still there, but we're in a higher place here, and it feels much brighter. Maybe there's other things that make it feel brighter as well. But we've still got the same chords going on, but because of that bass doing those tripleting, not triplet kind of things, those thirds, the chords are not as clear as they were because of that, and also because we're lacking those bass notes. Okay, now we've got them again. Just a nice little bit of bass to finish off, I think. Yeah, simple little song there. I say simple. Only really two different sections through it. Texturally, really cool. Not too much coming in, randomly through the song. Yeah, I feel like Another Time Lover is really one that sticks out in comparison to these because it had more of an evolving texture, whereas almost all of these other ones have a texture that remains pretty much similar throughout, maybe with a little bit of a different use of an instrument, or with a texture, with one dropping out for a little bit and then coming back in. Another Time Lover does something different, but we're definitely establishing a very strong mood of, what should we call it, chill vibes, psychedelia, and yeah, nice, fun. Relax, guys. Listen to the music. Doesn't matter what else is going on. It's nice. Can't we just be glad that we can make nice things nice? I think it's nice too. Good. And that's all it needs to be sometimes. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna now go and sort some stuff out and get on with my life. But it's been nice to chill with Kadhja Bonet, and I hope that someone might, be put on to listening to this in the future. We haven't even got to the most listened track on this album, so go and do that. Music. Not going to say forever. I don't do that. That's not me. That's someone else. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day and a lovely rest of your life.